It's WG, bring your SNB, and Lorelei is here, and you want to know how many do you need? Do you need her at all? Is she worthy of your resources? So we went through the pains of getting her fully maxed out, but the results I'm about to tell you have all been tested and verified with her being at base copy, so whatever you're going to get told you will be able to achieve with her. Before that though, no matter what your conclusion out of this video is, depending on what I tell you, there's some very, very interesting information that we found through the gallery about the next character. Yes, we're already talking about the limited Bella, and that is Forgotten Vow. When possessed by Fleeting Bella, both instants of extra damage and damage dealt increase for the basic attack. That lets us assume a couple things. Number one, Bella is most likely going to be obviously a buffer rather than a healer, and the way she's going to buff according to this flavor text should be her possessing your units and making them deal more damage, as well as probably obviously some extra buffs, but it all revolves around the concept of extra damage. And now this is important for the basic attack. So before we really talk about Lorelei, we also have to talk about the Eye of Truth and how this whole summer update actually heavily favors the Eye of Truth. So Eye of Truth is the basic artifact, and Eye of Truth in my mind, at least before the summer update, was definitely like maybe number 3, maybe number 4 to be upgraded, because it's so specific and there were only 4 characters. Van Helsing, Lorelei, Triss and Joanne. Only 4. Now with this summer update, it looks like we're getting 3 more. Lorelei, Cyrene, and now Fleeting Bella. Everything points towards basic attack synergy. So the best artifact to upgrade, it heavily hinges on how good Bella is and how good Cyrene is. I'll be trying to give you that information as soon as possible. It might very well end up being that Eye of Truth is the best artifact to be upgraded, because it is going to be buffing the strongest characters. So like Cyrene Van Helsing combo, Lorelei for PvP, Fleeting Bella Van Helsing, Lorelei, Fleeting Bella Van Helsing, Lorelei, then a healer, tank, and then potentially a Cyrene might be a team that you should keep in mind. So that out of the way first, right? Everything seems to point toward basic attacks, and why is that relevant? That is because Lorelei is a basic attacker. As always, a like or a comment would greatly help me out, as well as also bring this video to more people. And if you really want to, subscription is also possible. But let me actually tell you my secret plan and the reason why. We want to pass the main Silver and Blood YouTube channel. Currently they're still within reach, sitting at 8.1k subscribers. So before they do their big marketing push and fontaine up to like 100k, I want to get a screenshot in which we just making Silver and Blood content can actually compete. So before we get into Lorelei's kit, before we get into all the reasons where she's good, where she's bad, how you can best use her, which is later down the line in the video, let me actually give it to you straight. My opinion for now, especially if you're free to play, you have 2 choices. Number 1, summon now, get a single copy. Reason being, she is good enough to be valued at a copy. She's also good enough for you to pick up, because of the fact that she's a limited, right? When her banner ends, she's not going to be here. That is option number 1. Just summon, get a copy, be happy, be done. Option number 2 is the same thing, just at a different time scale, and that is because you have 3 weeks, you can take all of those 3 weeks to kind of wait, to kind of look out, see if like somebody finds anything crazy with her, be careful with your resources because they're obviously hard to get by, or hard to come by, and then summon for Lorelei. And especially, it would be of advantage for you to wait until Fleeting Bella is fully revealed. Like until we know what her kit does. I've already told you my conspiracy, right? So depending on how strong Fleeting Bella is, that might very well uplift Lorelei into unheard of realms. But especially for now, 1 copy, and you most likely will at least want to also get a copy of Fleeting Bella. So make sure that you will always end up in a situation where you can at least get a copy of each. Or if it comes down worst to worst, probably get a copy of Fleeting Bella and kind of take the L on Lorelei, right? So she has her basic attack and she has a 69% multiplier to enemies in a rectangular area ahead. This area is actually quite big, so this area actually allows her to reliably stack that Siren Song quite fast. The stacks are permanent, so no matter when she does these, they will apply the sleep. And then when you reach 4 stacks, the effect disappears and inflicts sleep for 5 seconds, and that they'll only wake up after 25% of damage. And then you also have a really high damage multiplier for her during her Siren form. Now, then you also have in Siren form, Lorelei deals 50% increased damage to sleeping enemies, as well as ignores 30% of their magic defense, and she herself is immune to sleep and can't wake sleeping units. So it all relies on her attacking sleeping targets for like the most effect. Base form, you then do the extra damage, or you better said, yeah, when you apply sleep to an enemy with your base form, you then also deal extra damage to a random awake enemy as well as a stack. And during the Siren's form, when Lorelei switches her target, except when using the ultimate, you teleport behind a random sleeping enemy and set them as the target. So this refers to, it works during ultimate but not as her teleporting twice, because with the ultimate you already can select where to teleport. So then you then deal the 402% magic damage, and if no sleeping enemy targets the enemy, she targets the enemy with the lowest HP. And the one that ties it all together is the ultimate with an 11-second duration, a 5-second prolonged duration as long as she kills something, and also the 2-second sleep plus 800% damage, so that she can get the magic res ignore plus also the extra 50% damage to those targets. So that's a base kit. And what does it lead to? Let's talk about Time Worn Mausoleum first, and then we kind of just go through it one by one so you can get an idea of what she's actually going to be doing. So Time Worn Mausoleum, she actually has an exclusive artifact, and that exclusive artifact does the following. In her Siren form, Lorelei deals cone-shaped AoE damage with both her basic attack and special. Me personally, I do really see her as at least being very useful in this game mode, and the team combination would look something like this. You have Lorelei here in the front because she has pretty much mage range. So she has mage range up until she swaps. So she has this range, right? This is the range she has. It's just not shown here, but she has a range of, for example, a Lemine or any other mage like Lamia, and then so with Van Helsing and her, we obviously won't be doing the whole fight, don't you worry. You'll be running into a situation like this where you can just trigger her and pretty much send her after an enemy, and then she is currently the only unit in the game that can stay away from your team formation. Like T-Amy gets pushed back, anybody that has like a jump, they get pushed back, but she can actually herself stay up in front there and pretty much assassinate people. And you also see her like doing these dashes. That is once someone dies. If someone dies, that means she swaps target and then she's going to teleport. So you can kind of see her like permanently working on increasing that duration with every kill she gets. So it is kind of a no-brainer. If you really want like some easy time worn content, you put in, for example, an Acapella, Van Helsing, a Lorelei, then a tank and a healer, and then you just always use Van Helsing's ult, use Lorelei's ult. Whenever they run out, you use them again, send them in, and they'll basically do the fight for you, you could say, right? So for example, we have Lorelei here at the front line, and you see how she does damage, and if you then get her exclusive, she'll be doing AoE damage instead of single target damage, which heavily makes her better. But keep in mind, she is the only like real melee unit to attack from this distance. So I think that is quite cool, and it had to be noted. So that is Time Worn Mausoleum. Time Worn Mausoleum is by no means the end of the road though. So let's talk about story, and for story, let's briefly go into 15.4, give you like a battle-ish example of what you can kind of expect from her and where she's a bit lacking. So one of the big disadvantages is for a damage dealer in general, they have to contend with the lowest stats, right? Like if you're pushing story, then you're probably pushing low BP. If you were pushing high BP instead, you would probably beat the stage even without her. So for example, for us here, we have to like start off with a Dalcarlo to at least make sure we don't just like fall apart, as well as also just get all our ultimates in. But you can kind of see how she's like applying quite a bunch of these stacks, So this is like these guys are on 3 stacks, 2 stacks, 3 stacks, 2 stacks. There we actually lost someone. We actually lost Lorelei herself, which isn't great. Alright, now from a gameplay perspective, let's briefly go into a stage. Let me show you what you can kind of expect from her, and also, I guess, point out the good, point out the bad, point out the ugly. So we have a healer in, we have a Bella as our tank. She has mage range, so you can just put her in the second row and you don't have to fear her actually getting attacked as much, because she does actually work as kind of a mage and then more of like a support type-ish assassin, which is quite helpful. And if you're wondering who are these units, those are Dalcarlo and Iona in skins. So yeah, let's see what we can do with that stage here. It's obviously like one of the big issues that kind of every DPS faces is when you're fighting low BP, right? When you're fighting low BP, you're losing out on a bunch of attack, you're losing out on a bunch of stats, and it gets harder and harder to actually perform properly. So yeah, that's kind of a problem. But look at this, like we have all of these units asleep, and look at these stacks. She does not attack super fast, but look at all these stacks coming in. It is quite a lot of them. And here we're actually going to attack this singular mage, so you can like kind of see like her assassin capabilities, you could say. Do not use a Starry-Eyed Iona while she is kind of out and about, because otherwise you're just going to pull her back, right? But yeah, you see how it's a bit of a BP thing, but we were actually able to secure a kill right here, which is obviously quite huge. And the higher your BP or the less you are in a deficit, the more easily she'll be able to go kill into kill into kill into kill, which is obviously the dream scenario. We might actually get wiped here just simply because of the mages just probably punishing us. But it is just her providing a lot of general shutdown. So every 4 basic attacks, she is pretty much going to go and sleep the whole field, you could say. So yeah, let's see if we can actually assassinate this guy right here. Actually able to set him to sleep, start working on him, start kind of singling him out. And the good part really is the fact that in her normal form she does have mage range, so she can successfully hide behind the tank. Once more here, let's see. So the sleep does also apply earlier, which means you can successfully stun guys. And now we have 23 seconds. I don't know if we'll be able to actually burst him down in time. Let's see. 14 seconds. 9 seconds. Come on. Almost, right? But then we can have a look at the damage statistics so you can get a bit of an idea of what we're looking at. And you see she's not doing badly. Lamia, obviously, our Lamia is our hard carry, right? Our Lamia has our best gear, our Lamia has our most investment, our Lamia has the highest affinity, etc. But she has, at least to a degree, keeping up with the Dalcarlo. And what is really solid about her, even if you don't use her ult, is going to be this like potential to sleep a lot of units. Like if you've paid attention, you've seen that her range with the basic attack to apply these Siren Song stacks is actually quite big. And now this is also the important part, why I think Eye of Truth might very well be what it is, and that is this right here. The chance to grant attack speed up. If you have higher attack speed on Lorelei, she's going to apply more Siren stacks. More Siren stacks means more sleep means more damage, and also more damage during the ultimate. So I'm probably going to be upgrading Eye of Truth to level 5 as my first artifact, just to see if that's truly the meta move, because it is the more risky pick than a Philosopher's Stone. So that's kind of like what you can expect from in PvE. And something I wanted to mention is she's not really successful doing Clive, right? Like don't use her in Clive. Clive is resistant to magic damage. To magic damage. She does magic damage. She's good at eliminating the wolves, like the ones that summon extra copies, but because Clive is a boss, she won't be able to apply the sleep. No sleep means no magic damage penetration, and that's kind of where the issues come in. She has really good damage potential, she does nice damage, but she cannot use her talent, right? She's basically a 3 ability unit against bosses. I still think she's going to perform well against Sheila, because Sheila is vulnerable to magic. Sheila can actually be burst it down. Like if you have enough survivability, you would probably be able to use Lorelei to just kill her during the sword phase. We'll test it. I'll give you an update on if that actually works out. But don't expect her to perform well in Restless Clive. And Armored Spirit, Armored Spirit can actually work. And that is because she is going to teleport from unit to unit. So if for whatever reason you haven't yet, right? If for whatever reason you haven't yet beaten a Baphomet, let's actually use one of her ultimates and kind of give you an idea of how this looks like. Obviously, we're kind of done for if she starts targeting Kako Demon. Though I do believe she shouldn't start off with targeting Kako Demon. Let's see if she can actually do it fast enough. So she goes in, she gets her first kill, then she gets another. Yeah, but she swaps to the boss. So forget about Mr. Kako Demon. Forget about Mr. Kako Demon. The problem is he's invulnerable unless the summons get attacked. That's also why Van Helsing kind of struggles with dealing with him. So there's that. Now let's get to the obvious part. Blood Arena. What was my experience with using her? So let's rewatch some footage. Alright, so while we talk about her in PvP, let's actually put some gameplay in the background so you can kind of see what she does. In this case, we also used Pavana together with her, which should be the intended combo. There's a big issue. And don't worry, we have myself behind me, so don't worry too much. And there's a big issue with having a Bella on the enemy team. So the way you specifically want to deal with Lorelei if you have a Bella in the enemy team is by using her ultimate last. Like, don't even put it on your starting hand. Put it as like 4th, 5th, in the hopes of the Bella summons already getting attacked, to then allow her to do stuff. So you already saw how she kind of like annihilated Diallo here. If there is no Bella in the enemy defense, then she is incredibly good, right? She'll be able to just pick out a target. She'll most likely kill that target and then make it like a 5v4 and pretty much change the playing field. And also look at how long these guys are asleep, right? Like these sleep times are really, really ridiculous. And also there doesn't seem to be like an inherent resistance to the concept of sleep. So if you, or if everything goes properly, you might run into like a 6-second sleep, into the 4-second sleep, into a 6-second sleep, into like a 4-second, obviously with like a bit of downtime in between. But yeah, Bella, make sure that if you run her against the Bella, that you try to focus the puppets early, like maybe use a Van Helsing to start clearing out the puppets and then use her. And also, the reason why this team isn't doing as much damage currently is because you might have noticed we don't have a Blood Moon. Like, we didn't have a Full Moon in this team, which was obviously on me. I should have probably put someone in there. So instead of Augustine, it should have probably been like a Lamia or the like. But yeah, it's a bit awkward. Like, sometimes she just teleports behind the perfect target, she annihilates them, and she'll win. And also, something that is huge and not to be underestimated really is that basic attack. Her basic attack is really strong. The ability to kind of like completely sleep the enemy team fully and utterly is really not to be underestimated. But I also feel like she's rather easily, to a degree, counterable by just having, for example, a Transcendent Nova and a Bella when you do attack a Lorelei-based defense. But also the worst part is she can be really disgusting sometimes. Like, at certain points, her in the defense could be the most annoying thing you can face, because if she perfect sleeps, you're just gonna lose. And that is something you really want in your defense. You want kind of like unpredictability. You want the chance to win, because if someone can prepare, it is always easier to break your defense rather than for you to get a defense win. So having that like extra RNG factor in there is actually, for defense-wise, to your advantage. Do I really see her do like super well in Crucible and such? She's at least going to be a force to be reckoned with, because there's never a scenario in which she won't be able to apply her sleep, in which she won't be able to do her damage. And also look what she just did to that. She basically almost killed the Friedrich, and that Friedrich, not only was he high level as well as also fully siphoned, he's resistant to magic damage, right? Friedrich naturally, as long as he has a shield, gets that resistance to magic damage, which means she was already at a disadvantage, but she was able to like penetrate that increased magic defense. So from an arena standpoint, she's actually pretty good. So yeah, this has been it. I hope you were able to take something away from me, and do let me know down in the comments below if you made it to this point. Do you think this whole like basic attack is going to be overpowered conspiracy has any value? Do you think my arguments I gave you were reasonable enough, right?